In this video I will introduce the new recipe support that was introduced with Rayforge 0.24. Recipes are used to define recurring settings for your steps. In Rayforge you can open this in the preferences and then clicking on recipes, and there you can define recipes for your machine or material. You can click here on add a new recipe. This is the dialog for defining a new recipe. Of course, at the top you can enter a name and optionally a description if you want. But then you have to understand the two main sections. The first one is the applicability, which defines in which situation this recipe will be automatically chosen. First you have to choose the task type. This can be cut or score or to raster engrave, and then you can optionally choose any of the other settings here. So if you don't change anything, then this recipe is basically always used for any cut operation that you create for any step. So if you open or create a new edge step in your workflow, then this recipe would match and the settings below would be applied. You can also define a material. So if you have added a stock to your document and have assigned a material to it, then this would also be used to match against this recipe. So if you create a step in such a document where the stock is already defined, then the step would automatically get the correct parameters assigned. You can also define the minimum or maximum thickness for which this recipe is valid. And then the second section is the settings. There you can define which laser to use. Of course, if you have only one laser head, like most people do, then you would get the default if you select none here. You can select the power that should be used for this scenario. The cut speed, air assist, and even the curve settings if you want. So how do you assign this recipe to a step? Well, it's automatic. So whenever you create a new step, the app uses the criteria that you defined to find out which recipe matches, and then it automatically assigns the default settings. Nevertheless, you can change that. You can see here under general settings, the first row is recipe, and there you see the recipe that in this case was chosen by default, because the test recipe I created has no match criteria, so it would be used in every case. But you can click choose here and change the recipe. So after clicking choose, you see the recipe selector, and here you are only shown the compatible recipes. So let's say you have added a plywood stock to your layer, and then you open this and you would only see the recipes that are compatible with plywood. But if you want to choose another one, let's say you want to use the MDF recipe on the plywood anyway, then you can toggle the switch here at the top, and then you would see also the recipe for MDF. Yeah, you select this and then you would go back to the step settings with the new settings applied.